him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em up, it's time for the only news that matters. And drummer Tommy Aldridge reflects on George Lynch nearly joining Ozzy Osbourne's band, and praised Jakey Lee as someone who was both profoundly original and capable of paying homage to Randy Rhoads. Got that right. Nobody better, if you ask me. Having joined the Prince of Darkness in 1981 as the successor of Lee Kerslake, Tommy Aldridge experienced a dire transition period that followed Randy Rhoads' untimely death firsthand. Following the tragedy in Leesburg, Florida, Ozzy's label, Jet Records, which was being run by his father-in-law, Don Arden, introduced Bernie Torme as the potential stand-in, who then passed on the gig to Brad Gillis of Night Ranger. Following the conclusion of the Speak of the Devil tour in 1983, Gillis left and the search for a more permanent guitarist began. And while a job eventually went to Jakey Lee, there was a time where George Lynch could have entered history as Randy's successor. During a recent interview with Get on the Bus, Aldridge said that Lynch was upset because he thought it was the drummer's fault that the job didn't go to him, which Tommy Aldridge denies. He says, "It was narrowed down to 2 or 3 guys. John Sykes at that time was already involved with something else. George Lynch was heavy in the running, and George Lynch is an incredible, groundbreaking guitar player ahead of his time. He's still current, viable, and vital today, you know?" And for some reason, I remember George came up to me at a party in Hollywood Hills one time, and he was upset with me. He was mad at me because he thought that I was responsible for Jakey Lee becoming Ozzy's guitar player rather than him. Well, that's just not true, because I don't make those kind of choices. All I did was Sharon asked if I could help audition guitar players. I said, I'll do my best. And I came to the table and found we were blessed with finding Jakey Lee. Reflecting on the arrival of Jakey Lee, Aldridge noted that how the guitarist struck a perfect balance between bringing his new energy and paying homage to Randy Rhoads. While I like most of Jakey Lee's playing is that he was capable of playing Randy's parts. Moreover, you know, he had a reverence for Randy that was just starting to build, which was really, really important. Jake's style of playing was very aggressive. It was exuberant and it was original, but he could still play Randy's parts, and he had enough reverence for Randy to play them. That was the big difference from the other Pack Cats. And that's not to say George Lynch wasn't, but I just find originality that I thought was really important. There's a big premium on that. You can be really simple, a real simple drummer, and still, if you're original, you'll work with your whole career. You don't have to be a total chops monster. John Bonham personified that. Well, he was kind of like a chop monster, though. Very real economy of notes, but crazy in originality. Yeah, well, Tommy Aldridge, man, was a total chop monster on drums. One of the greatest drummers I ever saw in my life. The first time I ever heard of Tommy Aldridge was when I was all the way up front at the Ted Nugent Scream Dream tour with Pat Travers and the Scorpions, and Tommy Aldridge did a drum solo that night during the Pat Travers set that floored me. You know, he did the Bonham thing. He threw the sticks to the crowd and then just bashed away on the drums with his hands. And, you know, to experience that live when I was a virgin at the time. This may have been my third concert. It was very early on in me going to a rock concert. To experience that was mind-numbing. And then, you know, a year or two later, I saw it again when I got to see Ozzy with Aldridge and Randy Rhoads, and he did the same drum solo that night, and he did the same drum solo at Bark at the Moon. And I saw Whitesnake a couple times. And yeah, he is definitely one of the greatest drummers ever. As far as George Lynch, man, I love George Lynch. And I don't know what's going on lately in Florida and George Lynch, but this guy's here like just about every other month. And I haven't gone to one show. And he just announced another gig down here in January, and I'm like, you know what? I should go. I should go. You know, my past with George Lynch was kind of hit and miss. Sometimes he was great, sometimes he wasn't so great. Well, I've seen videos of the last couple times he was here, and judging from what my friends say, they were all great shows. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to check him out, but man, I don't know who I like more, George Lynch or Jakey Lee. I can't tell you. You know, they're both right up there, but for Ozzy, I think Jake was the right choice. You know, George would have been great. George would have been awesome. But Jake has that stretchy finger thing, man, that worked so well on Bark at the Moon and stuff. That, to me, man, Jakey Lee was the perfect replacement for Randy Rhoads. Nobody in Ozzy's band was better than him when it came to playing his style with Randy Rhoads. It added this new dementia that was just unbelievable. And I got to witness that too live. I saw Ultimate Sin and Bark of the Moon tours, you know. And Jakey Lee's always been unbelievable. Yeah, I saw Badlands 3 times. I saw the Red Dragon Cartel. All great shows. All amazing shows. And I love Jakey Lee, man. To think that guy got shot several times, and then, what is it, half a year later, he's up there at the Ozzy tribute. And he played as well as he could. You know, I mean, that was probably not the greatest Jake performance I've ever seen, but it was far from bad. He played well. He played really good. But he played exceptionally well for a guy that got shot a few times. So, I love Jake. I got to meet him once. Twice, actually. Couldn't have been nicer. Just a sweet dude, great guitar player, very humble, and does the greatest interviews. I love Jakey Lee interviews. He's an open book, and he don't mess around. He tells it as it is, and he makes no apologies. To me, he's like a real musician. He ain't about the fame or the money or none of that. He's into the music stuff, so hopefully he'll keep recovering as he is at that pace he's doing now, which is great. Jakey Lee rules. That's all I gotta say, man. And what do you gotta say? You can leave it in the comments below. You know, what do you think? You think George would have been better for Ozzy, or Jake would have been better for Ozzy? What's your take on that? I thought Brad Gillis was amazing, by the way. You know, he was a badass too. But I still prefer Jake. How about you? Thank you so much for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell and like the video. It's good for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Bark at the Moon and the first Badlands album. And schmack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.